Okay, welcome to Unit 3.6, Intangible Assets. In this unit, we're going to be dealing with such things as patents, goodwills, other items that are definitely assets, but they are not fixed and they are not capital or plant. You heard about intangible assets in Module 3.5.2, and I'm going to correlate some details with that. But first and foremost, the key is, what is an intangible asset? Okay? Now the key is they have no physical form. You're going to need to know that. Meaning, if I patent something, okay, I create an invention. The invention is an asset. I can sell these inventions, but in and of itself, if I go through the regulations with the federal government and put a patent on that, okay, the patent is now an asset in and of itself, separate from the invention, okay? So if an asset has no physical, if an intangible asset has no physical form, it is separate, okay, from a fixed asset, even if the intangible asset umbrellas the fixed asset. Like I mentioned before, you may have an invention, and that's fixed, because I could sell it. Could also depreciate. Okay? Intangible assets, as we know, and I would be remiss not to mention this, can amortize. Okay, so intangible assets have no physical form. However, they do offer value to the business for a long period of time. You're going to see why through examples. Okay, the total cost for an intangible asset is everything necessary to make it useful. So, I invent something, okay? I invent a new chair, and this chair does everything that regards comfort. Now, how do I make it different than other types of chairs that are out there? Well, first of all, I could do certain things like I mentioned before, patent it, and I will do everything in my power to do so, to make it useful in regards to difference, patent, etc. Because we don't want to infringe on another patent or copyright, and we're going to get to that. Okay, once again, some additional examples of intangible assets, and just think in your head right now, is there any physical form to any of these? Brand or branding? Now, a brand could be my business name. That's not physical, though. Goodwill, same thing. Patents, just discussed those. There's nothing physical about a patent, but a patent does cover a physical fixed asset. If I trademark a name or a product, that itself is not physical, it's intangible. I can't touch knowledge. I possess knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge creates product, but it's intangible. Nonetheless, you can put a price on it. So some examples of types of costs that often end up in intangible assets are the following. You may need to know these again. Legal fees, designing, artwork. You may see that again on the exam. Engineering, software, franchise, contracts, and marketing programs. Here's a fact. If the life of an intangible asset is actually known, like how long will this patent exist? How long will I be able to copyright this product that I created? Such as a franchise term or a copyright limit, like I just mentioned, then the cost of the intangible asset is spread over useful life,
not legal life. So I'm not set to terms as far as, oh, I can only have this intangible asset for 5 years legally. There's no mandate on it. That means as long as I can use this patent effectively to create business, that's how it's covered over the cost of that period. That only applies to intangible assets like franchise terms and copyrights. Other intangible assets I want to show you. Creativity and ideas. Listen, creativity and ideas have value. People steal ideas from people all the time, okay? And that's why they are listed as intangible. They're not fixed. Nonetheless, they hold value, but may actually lose value along the way. Okay, now something that sets these types of assets in much different form than fixed or other types of assets is that the fact that, like we mentioned, they may have an indefinite life. And here's some other keys. Intangible assets, which, if they lose total value, they're amortized. These with indefinite lives are not. So, intangible assets that are amortized have indefinite lives. Number two, in the future, if these intangible assets are impaired, they lose their value. So if there's a major change or a recall on the product you have patented, that would be called being impaired. Then it would then lose its value. In the ledgers that we would keep, they are written down. They're never written up, okay? Despite the fact that they have indefinite lives. Okay, so let's get more specific. You may need to know this again as well. Patents. Patents are the exclusive right to produce and sell an invention. I don't know anybody or heard of anybody who invented anything and did not have a patent on it. And if they did, they definitely got it stolen from them and had somebody else patent it. The legal right may be 20 years for a patent. It's not indefinite, but the useful life may be shorter. So that's unfortunate. Where a legal right, you may actually pay to have a patent legally binded to last for 20 years, but the useful life, based on the product and patent itself, may be shorter. Copyrights. Copyrights are the exclusive rights to publish, perform, or reproduce the following: music, art, film, books, software, and there's other stuff. But by and large, those books could also be, dissertations, etc. Nonetheless, copyrights are intangible assets that can hold a heck of a lot of value. Okay, back to some examples. We talked about branding and we talked about knowledge. What goes into some of them? Well, we talked about trademarks. How about reputation? You hear a lot about legality of people affecting somebody's reputation and then it goes to court. Well, this is why. You don't want to damage somebody's reputation because essentially you're damaging them of future knowledge, current and future knowledge, where their value actually goes down. Loyalty, company loyalty. A lot of times you'll have somebody steal information from another company and then you'll go off and create that for yourself. And that's why we have non-disclosure agreements. Okay, in branding, we discussed trademarks, we discussed reputations, we discussed loyalty. Now we have intangible assets where they have a market position, okay? And that includes customer listings, legal monopolies, licenses, and contracts. And this is what we're talking about if people want to invest in the type of product that we have branded, patented, trademark, copyrighted, etc. People can actually invest in intangible assets, so that's a bonus too. Same thing for their business system and business operations overall. Now let's talk legal life again. Legal life of an intangible asset can be more than 100 years. However, the opportunity to make money from the copyright may be 3 to 5 years. So that doesn't balance out. So we're going to have to reevaluate after that time and see what we could do about it. Once again, you're talking more than a century, but the opportunity to make money on it from perhaps a copyright could be only 3 to 5 years. So that means it's obviously of definite life, and can be amortized. Trademarks. Trademarks and trade names. They're special identifications that are protected against infringement. So if I trademark a nickname that I have for myself, nobody else can legally use it, especially if I use it in documentation or I do business as, like a DBA, a certain name. And when something's trademarked, we're going to see that symbol by majority. Special identifications that are protected against infringement. Once you have it, nobody can steal it. And they may have an indefinite life in and of itself too. So even if somebody passes away and they trademark something, you cannot use it. Okay, we mentioned goodwill in the beginning. What is goodwill? Goodwill is the extra cost a business will pay for another business as recognition for being unusually profitable. And that has an indefinite life too. So what could that be? Well, I own a business. I may want to buy another business out because they produce similar products to me, or they may be presenting a challenge to me. Nonetheless, I may have more assets than them, and I could see their potential for growing. But that's goodwill. Now, a business has fixed assets, but if I pay that extra cost that many businesses do for another business recognition because of their profitability, then that would be considered goodwill. Okay, let's discuss franchises and licenses. These are contracts or government grants that give the owner special rights. If I franchise McDonald's, like the original fellow did back several decades ago, he started out with 4, now God knows how many there are. That's a franchise, and he's licensed, and that was contracted to do so. So gyms are franchised. Fast food. Coffee shops. A lot of different things are franchised. But nonetheless, they may also have indefinite lives. Let me end with an exam question for you regarding intangible assets. Assets are classified as intangible under which of the following conditions? A, they are converted into cash within 1 year. B, they have no physical substance. C, they are acquired in a merger. D, they are held for resale. E, they are short-term and used in operations. Well, you know it can't be A because you can't convert it into cash within 1 year. You can't acquire it for a merger because that would be considered goodwill. They're held for resale? No, they're not. They're not physical. And regarding short-term and used in operations, no. Most of these are indefinite. So the proper answer in this case would be B. They have no physical substance. And that's all for 3.6, intangible assets.